to the entertainment Talking Sports.
What is going on, football fans? Back at it with another New York Giants video. And in this video, I am going to talk about a hypothetical scenario. By no means is this rumored. By no means am I saying this is going to happen. But is it a possibility? Sure. I was watching Cop Izzo's post-game video, and he talked about it. And I said, you know what? He brings up a good point. If the Giants wanted Chase Young that bad, they could potentially trade up to number 1 and get him from the 4 spot. Now, of course, they could drop to 5 if they beat the Eagles, and they very well may. Who knows? We haven't beaten the Eagles in a while, but we'll see how that plays out. But let's just say they stay at 4, and you got the Detroit Lions and the Washington Redskins in front of you. Of course, yesterday, a lot of New York Giants fans were very upset, being that they wanted Chase Young at the number 2 selection. And by beating the Redskins now have been catapulted up to number 2 to more than likely get Chase Young unless something happens before the draft. But we all know trades happen on the days of drafts, and the New York Giants, the last time they were picking number 4, they did make a trade, and we're going to get into that in a second, and they did move up to number 1. But what would the price be, and would you be willing to do it, and more importantly, would Dave Gettleman be willing to do it? Well, if Dave Gettleman feels that Chase Young could have a Nick Bosa-type impact, which is what a lot of New York Giants fans, I think, are looking at. 49ers last year, they picked number 2 overall. They go out, they get a Nick Bosa. Now, of course, Jimmy Garoppolo comes back, and, they sign a D Ford. But that team jumps from one of the worst teams in football to a Super Bowl contender in 1 year. Now, I'm not saying the Giants would be able to do that, but a guy like Chase Young, if he's as good as most people expect him to be, could certainly impact this defense in a big way. He'd make the secondary instantly better, things like that. Is it the end of the world if we don't get him? No. You can improve the offensive line. You could trade down. You can take the corner that everybody likes. Giants can do a lot of things. They're going to get a good player that's going to help this team regardless at number 4. But if they feel like Chase Young is that type of player, will Dave Gettleman go up and make the move? Well, Dave Gettleman has shown a willingness to do it in the past. He did it last year. He moved up from 37 to 30 to get a DeAndre Baker. Of course, the price isn't as steep, but if he thinks Chase Young is that supreme of a player, he could do it. And the Cincinnati Bengals perspective, by all accounts, they're taking a quarterback. Everybody has them taking Joe Burrow. They're ready to move on from Andy Dalton. Well, if the Bengals look at the draft board, Redskins ain't taking a quarterback. They took Dwayne Haskins last year, and Haskins has looked pretty good down the stretch. The Lions, maybe, but they still got Matt Stafford under contract, and Matt Stafford's still a pretty good quarterback. Could they take a Burrow? Sure, that's possible. But the Bengals, if they feel like they could still get Burrow at 4, why not try to accumulate some assets? And then the other thing I'll say is, what if as the draft approaches, they feel differently about Burrow? What if it's not as much of a separation? What if they're like, we like Tua just as much. We like Herbert just as much. And we could go down and get all these assets from the Giants and still get a quarterback? So the Bengals may very well be willing to make a move. They may be willing to move down from 1 to 4 and still get a quarterback and get the assets that the Giants are willing to give up. Now, like I said, the Giants have done this in the past. We're going to go back to 2004, and I'm going to show you an example of what the Giants had to give up to, of course, get Eli Manning. And that trade, well, that's an historical trade in New York Giants history. It helped us win a couple of Super Bowls. Here's the trade. The New York Giants were picking 4th overall. They moved up to 1 to get Eli Manning. The Chargers then received Phillip Rivers with the 4th pick. They selected Nate Kading with the 3rd round pick in that year's draft. They took Sean Merriman with the 1st round pick in the next year's draft and a 5th round pick. So the Giants they swapped first. They gave up a 3rd, a future 1st in the following year, and a future 5th. Now, that price may be a little bit more than what it would cost because it was for a quarterback, but let's just say it was the same price. Would you be willing to do that? Would you be willing to give up a 3rd round pick in this year's draft along with the swap, a 1st round pick in the following year's draft, and a 5th round pick? In that hypothetical scenario, that trade may be enough to go out and get your guy if the Bengals are willing to trade down. Is Chase Young worth that price? He certainly could be. If he's that type of player, if he's a Myles Garrett-like talent, yeah, he certainly could be. Now the question is, are the Bengals willing to make the trade, and does Gettleman think he's worth that much? We're going to have to wait and find out as the draft approaches. Of course, the other added element to this, if you don't trade up and get him, the Washington Redskins, your in-division rival, will have him for the next 10 to 15 years, and you'll have to deal with him, which may give Gettleman and the Giants more incentive to try to move up to 1. By no means am I saying this is going to happen. By no means am I saying I expect this to happen. But like I said, trades happen every year. The Jets jump from 6 to 3. trades happen every year, and the Giants have an exact scenario where they moved up from 4-1 when they selected Eli Manning. So if Dave Gettleman feels that strongly about this player, as strongly as a lot of New York Giants fans do, it's entirely possible that he could go up and get him. I'm going to have another video up today on the status of Pat Shurmur and how I feel about his job going forward and whether or not I think he'll be the New York Giants head coach next season. So I hope you guys check that out, and thank you for watching the video. As always, if you liked what you watched, please subscribe, drop a comment, maybe give me a little thumbs up. Cheers.